to the Card and Comic Show. Welcome back to Cards and Comics. So today I have a video where I'm going to talk about my recent trip to the Indy Card Exchange in Indianapolis, my former local card store. And I always make a pilgrimage there 2 or 3 times a year. I'm back home visiting family. So I'm in Indiana for this week. And, I started out collecting heavily. My first real experience as a dealer was in Indianapolis. And I met Andy when he was a dealer, even before he owned the store. And we would set up at shows and had a great time at shows together. And then he, bought the store, basically turned it around. And I've been, going to his store since it really opened on opening day. So, it's been great experience working with Andy, and he's a great hobby friend of mine. And I always enjoy supporting the store. Now, normally when I go, I bring cards with me and we'll do like a big trade cash thing. Now, I did have time to put together cards. I just came back from Holland and Spain, and I'm actually getting ready to go right when I get back to New York to actual Chile on another week-long trip. And then when I get back from that, I'm going back to Holland. So I'm going to be traveling internationally at least 5 or 6 times this year. And a lot of them all in a very short time period. So in between, I have been selling a lot of cards. So I've sold a lot of cards, and so I'm reinvesting some of that money into new cards for my collection and just things I like to have. Now, my trip to the card store was nice. I thought about filming it, but when I walked in, he was working on a big deal with someone else, and I didn't want to film while he was working on a deal, and I just felt like it was intrusive, and so I just decided just to show you my pickups and talk about the experience now. And so it's a combination of both vintage and modern and 90s cards, so everything I love, and we'll start with the modern cards. We'll go from there. So the first pickup that I saw that I really wanted to have was this card here, and we'll see if we can get good photo here of it. So here we go. It is the 2002 Topps Chrome Update Wander Franco purple refractor rookie card. And, for people who pay attention to baseball, the Rays are off to an incredibly hot start. Wander's had some good games, and so it's really nice to see his cards kind of bounce back, because he was very much overshadowed by J-Rod coming to this year. And I felt like his cards actually were a little undervalued for the hype of a player he was. I think for people who really invested in him in the offseason are probably going to get rewarded pretty heavily now that the season started and he is doing so well. And I don't see him slowing down unless, again, it gets hurt. But hopefully that doesn't happen. Now, this is a PSA 10, and it's, not a rare, color, but it's still a cool color, and, parallel. And for the price I paid, I think I paid around $60 for this card. I felt like it was a good deal at a card store, because sometimes, again, nothing with Andy, it's just card store prices aren't going to be like a lot of times really that far under eBay. Or so this card was, to me, priced under eBay, and that's nice to find at a card store of a player who's having a pretty hot start to the season. So that's card number 1. Card number 2 is the aforementioned Julio Rodriguez. Now, this guy, obviously coming into the season is super hot. And this card is 9 with a beautiful auto. And there's multiple versions of this card. In fact, I looked on eBay when I tried to price it. And there is the Series 2, there's the update, there's the Chrome version. It's just transcendent. I mean, it's just like they did this 87 design, like I think 4 different ways. There's the actual variants. So you have to really try to find the actual card. Now, the reason I like this card a lot, because this is the Series 2 version. So to me, it's his real rookie card version because it's in Series 2, not the update. So to me, it carries more weight. This card swings wildly in value. I paid around $600. Well, actually, when you do the full deal, it's closer to $550 for the card. So I may be a little heavy compared to what some Indian auctions have. But if you price average it out, it's pretty close to what eBay is bringing on average. And sometimes they go higher, sometimes they go lower. So I felt, for a player who, to me, is still really hot. And I feel like, it's a good time to get on-card autos, rookie card autos of this guy still. And just like with Wander Franco, it's still in demand. If you go online, if you try to sell his cards, a lot of demand right now. So it's a good card to have. Again, I set up at card shows, and so I need to have some inventory of some hot players, and so this was a good card. And I felt like it was priced at a point where I could probably sell it for a little bit more down the road, and if he continues to do well. And so, or just throw in the personal collection and see what happens. Now, the next 2 cards are of one player, but they're just different. One of them is a modern auto, and the other one is actually a 90s card. So the first up is the auto. So this is a 2022 pristine Bo Jackson. And this is a gold, I think it's got Slice Star. I don't know. All these sets are just named certain things. Oops, sorry. So again, when you look at it, it's a very cool card, in my opinion. I like the design. They're numbered to 50, like a lot of the golds. Topps does a good job of keeping some numbering the same. To me, it's just a beautiful card, for one thing. A great on-card auto. And again, it's got Slice of Star is the name of the set. So I'm not even sure that's even proper grammar, but Slice of Star is the name of the set. So yeah, I don't know. It's to me, I just like picking up autos. I paid about $100 when you average it out for this card. So to me, when I go to card shows, Bo Jackson's still very high in demand, and I felt like this was just a really nice looking graded auto of Bo Jackson to pick up. Next up is a card that I just thought was really cool to see, just in the wild. And this is the 94 Finest Refractor of Bo Jackson. And a little thing here, I'll try to wipe off. Just want the card to look nice. Yeah, this card is one of those things that, cool to find these retro refractors at card shows, or sorry, card shops, because it's things that like this you don't see that often. Card shows like the National or bigger shows, you can find these things floating around, but a Bo Jackson refractor, hopefully I can get it in the light to show you it refractoring a little bit. Yeah, there you go, see a little bit. Aren't that easy to find. It's a PSA 8, which isn't that uncommon for these cards. They're easy to scratch. They didn't have protectors at this point. Come out of the pack scratch. And so you can get a lot of H just because of surface damage. But the fact, Bo Jackson, again, is a very strong seller in the 90s for his card. So I feel like, it was fun to pick this up. I paid about $60 for it when you average it out, the price that I paid for everything. And so I felt like for that price point, I could keep it, move it, whatever. These cards are just cool to have. I love 90s refractors, as anyone who's watched any of my Griffey videos knows. I love 90s refractors, so this is really cool to pick up. 94 Finest Bo Jackson. In fact, this is the first time I've ever seen this card in real life. You can see the back is horribly off center, but again, I like the front. So, cool card. That's just one of those random things you find at a card store sometimes, and you pick it up. Next up is a card I've never owned in a PSA 8. I still don't, but here's a very nice PSA 7, and it's a 58 Koufax. And he had some pretty nice vintage. He had another vintage card that I bought, but he had a Tony Perez rookie in an 8, some Manals, just some nice cards, some very nice high grade vintage. And these are the two that caught my eye because I don't have this card to begin with. I've never owned this card in anything higher than this grade here. Now this one, the thing I want to show you is just the centering. It is pretty well centered. And again, I don't really have lighting that I normally have, so I'm just going to bear with it a little bit. But to me, it's, well centered. Back-wise, it's off both ways. And again, not uncommon for this issue. But now, where this card lacks, obviously, it doesn't have great color, in my opinion. If you just look at it in, even with bad lighting, it just doesn't pop from a color perspective. But that's a very common issue with 58 tops. If you're looking for pack fresh, gloss dripping, wet color, even pack fresh 58 tops I've seen, don't display like other years, like even 59 or 60. You can get a 59 tops and it'll look, like really slick and bright colors and very glossy. And 58s just don't do that very often because of the paper stock used. It's just one of those years that just doesn't come out looking as nice as other years because of the kind of crappy paper they used, and that's well documented. And so you just get kind of like, I call more of this kind of, it's almost like a muted or just not as bright of a card. But technically, this card is very nice from the corners. You see the corners and the centering on the front. It's still a really nice 7. And I would say that, this card is very well within that technical grade of a 7. Meaning, in my opinion, I would grade it, in that 7, closer to 7.5 than just a straight 7. So for the price I paid right at, I'd say around 600, maybe a little less when you average it out for this card, which is right at VCP. So to me, when I look at buying vintage like this, where I'm not going to get it tremendously under book. But if I can get it right at VCP or slightly below, and I think the card is strong for the grade, I'm very happy to pay that. And this was the case for this card right here. It's strong for the grade and right at VCP or slightly below. So I was very happy to grab it. And last but not least, card that I really, really love. And to me, this is a nice one. So that's what makes it all better. But here we go. 59 Johnny Bench PSA 8. So this was the star of the show. This was the card that I really wanted to get when I saw it in the display case. So this was going to come home with me no matter what. Price-wise, so this card sells between 11 and 1300. So 1200 is a good price point. You had it pretty much dead on price-wise. Cost average out, I paid about 11 for the card. And to me, it's really nice for the grade. Now, you can look at it, and I'll bring it a little closer. Centering-wise, it is just a hair off left or right. Now, the problem with this card, and most people who collect a lot of 69s will tell you, is they get angled cut, or they get crooked really easily. And so this card, You can see has, if you were just to measure everything, it's probably a slight tilt um, for this card, but in my opinion, it presents really well. And the thing I love about this card is it's super glossy and it has great color. And so, unlike the 58 Koufax, this card has tremendous color. I feel like, look at the back here. The back looks pretty fresh. So this card definitely, to me, looks like a card that didn't really see a lot of the daylight. It probably was in pack for either a while before it was opened, meaning that it wasn't something that would just, open in 69 and was kind of handled a lot. This card obviously was protected to some point. Again, with that color gloss, corners being kind of as sharp as they are. It's just a really attractive 69 tops. And to me, this is, what I look for when I look for, PSA 8s. I want them to pop a little bit. I want them to have great color and look, like the grade. If you walk up to a show and you see a table, or walk up to a table, or go to a card shop and you see a card sitting out there and you just wonder, like, how did I get that grade? That's a bad sign. And I saw this card, I'm like, yeah, this card looks like an 8. And it when I looked at it, technically it definitely fits the bill. Do I think it's an 8.5 or better? I don't ever think that for a card like this. I think, it's got one little tick here on the bottom corner here. You can see a little bit of that. So yeah, I don't think it's going to get any higher from a technical standpoint. You can, maybe grade it with SGC, if you wanted to see if you can get the 8.5, but to me, it's in the right holder. It's the right grade. I think it's presents super nice for the grade, and it was worth it, what I paid. And again, this is one of those cards that continues to go up. People love the cup logo on any card, and this is Bench's first card by himself. So, I think this is just going to be one of those cards that continue to be popular, sell really well at card shows. Again, when I go to card shows, a card like this, 6, 7, and 8, move real fast. In fact, I would say they move faster than his rookie card sometimes, just because they're cheaper, they look nicer, and people just love this card. So that's the mail day, guys. Let me know what you think. I mean, I kind of put some of these up here. I mean, I think for the mail day, or my pickups at the shop, I think this is pretty diverse. I mean, if you look at it, I've got refractors, I've got, vintage 50s cards, vintage 70s cards, 60s cards, and I've got kind of like a card of one of the hotter young players in the game right now. So to me, it was very fun to go and pick these up. Now, the last thing I picked up, not a individual card, you can see in the background, what I'm using for the video background, is 2 boxes of 95 Select baseball. And I'll be opening those up on the channel pretty soon. And I might do a giveaway for one of the boxes. So I'm thinking about it. Let me know what you guys think. I definitely want to open at least one of the boxes on the channel. I'm also thinking about starting kind of like an archive series where I just want to document the sets from this time period, because in my opinion, some of these sets are going to be harder. These boxes are getting harder to find. And just documenting, opening the product, what it was like, the collation, just, the experience of opening product like this, not looking for the big hits, but, opening product and just documenting it and, and have fun with it. And, I bought 2 boxes again because I thought I'd keep a box and open a box, but I might, give a box away just for fun, So let me know in the comments if you think that would be a good idea. And I'll see you next time on Cards and Comics. Bye.